The wind howled over the icy plains of Iceland, but deep beneath the frozen surface, the real storm was just beginning. Buried inside a mountain disguised as a geothermal research facility, the Earth's most secret project was about to make history. Rows of glowing monitors lit up the cold, steel interior of the underground control room. Engineers, scientists, and analysts stood silently as they watched the screen showing the sleek test craft, the Horizon, hovering in Earth's orbit. Dr. William Carter, tall and composed, stood at the center of it all. At 36, he was already one of the world's leading physicists, but he had never craved fame. What he wanted was to explore, to know what was out there, beyond Earth, beyond silence. "Status report," he said calmly. "All systems nominal. FTL drive is charged," replied Mira, his closest engineer, her fingers dancing over a console. "We're green to go." William gave a small nod. This was the moment they had worked years for. A faster-than-light engine, developed in secret, outside the control of the global powers that had long feared the consequences of such technology. "Begin the jump sequence," he ordered. On the screen, the horizon shimmered. A ring of blue light pulsed from the ship's core. Then, in an instant, it vanished. Everyone held their breath. Seconds later, the ship reappeared on the far side of the solar system, next to Neptune's orbit. Data poured in, clean, accurate. It had worked. The control room erupted into cheers. William smiled faintly, but didn't celebrate. His eyes were locked on one of the side screens that had flickered oddly. "Wait," he said, raising his hand. The room fell quiet again. Mira turned to him. "Something wrong." William stepped closer to the console. "Bring up that last data burst. Something's in the signal." She tapped a few keys, and the system displayed a strange sequence, static at first, then a pattern. Repeating pulses. Not natural, not random. "A transmission," he murmured. "But from where? Could it be a bounce back? From the Horizon's own systems?" "No, this isn't our code. It's alien." The word hung in the air like a shockwave. An awkward silence followed. Then Mira whispered, "That's not possible. We've never picked up anything like this before." "That's because we've never gone faster than light before," William said quietly. He traced the pattern on the screen with his eyes. The signal was faint, buried under cosmic noise. It was old, ancient even, but it had structure. Someone, or something, had sent it. He downloaded the data to a secure drive and backed it up. Within an hour, William was summoned to the command office above the lab. The man who ran the project, General Erickson, sat behind a polished steel desk, his face stern, his eyes tired. "I heard about the signal," the general said. "We need to shut this down." "Shut it down?" William replied. "General, this could be the first proof of intelligent life." "That's exactly why. You don't know what's out there. You weren't cleared to analyze alien signals. You will delete the file." "No," William said. "This is what we've been looking for. The drive worked and it brought something back. We can't ignore it." Erickson stood slowly. "This isn't just about science, Doctor. If Earth isn't alone, it might not be safe. There are people who believe that silence has kept us alive. Are you ready to risk breaking it?" William didn't answer. He turned and walked out. That night, he sat alone in his quarters, staring at the signal on his portable tablet. The pulses were rhythmic, almost like language, and part of him felt certain that it was a message. Someone out there had spoken. Now, he had to decide whether to speak back. He copied the full transmission to a hidden external device and locked it in his satchel. The next morning, Earth was still quiet, but William knew the silence wouldn't last. He didn't know where the signal came from. He didn't know who had sent it. But he did know this. The universe had noticed Earth, and the universe did not forget. Snow drifted gently over the mountain peaks as dawn broke over Iceland. But beneath the peaceful landscape, William Carter's world was shifting. In the quiet of his private lab, buried deep inside the Earth's most classified research facility, he stared at the signal again. The strange transmission had haunted him all night. Its rhythm, its structure, everything pointed to one conclusion. It was a message. Intelligent, deliberate, and very old. He hadn't told anyone he had copied the full signal. The version on the official servers had been erased under General Ericsson's orders. But William wasn't ready to let it go. Too much was at stake. He connected his tablet to a secure quantum decryption tool. As the algorithms worked, he sipped cold coffee and studied the numbers. After several hours, a fragment of translation appeared. Red zone. Sealed. Lost world. Observer compromised. William leaned back in his chair, his heart racing. Red zone. He had seen that phrase before. It referred to a vast section of space that Earth's deep space telescopes could never map clearly. An area full of distorted readings, radiation fog, and block scans. Scientists had long assumed it was a natural blind spot in the galaxy. But what if it wasn't? He dug deeper. Hidden among old files in the lab's secured archives, data he wasn't supposed to access, he found references to something called Project Eclipse. It had been scrubbed from all public records. But inside, there were reports of intercepted alien transmissions going back over 100 years. The last entry simply read, Zone status. Red. Access denied. Maintain containment. Containment. That word sent chills down his spine. He copied everything and backed it up. Then he took a deep breath and made a decision. He couldn't ignore this. If Earth was inside some kind of sealed galactic zone, someone had put it there, and someone had wanted to keep it hidden. William met with Mira in the reactor bay, far from the listening devices embedded in the main labs. I need your help, he said, his voice low. She looked at him with concern. What is it now? I found out where the signal came from. It's not random. It's from outside the solar system, just past Pluto, near the edge of the red zone. You're not thinking of going out there, are you? She asked, already knowing the answer. I am. I need to see for myself. If there's a beacon or probe or anything, we need to know. William, they'll shut you down. They'll call it treason. I won't involve anyone else. I'll take the prototype ship. The stealth systems work. If I leave quietly, I'll be gone before they realize. She hesitated. You could die. I know. But if this signal is what I think it is, then we've already been seen. Someone knows Earth is here. Maybe they always did. But if the Council, whoever they are, sealed us off, we need to know why. Mira nodded slowly. I'll help you prep the ship. That night, under the cover of darkness, William made his move. The ship, codenamed Seraph, was one of Earth's most advanced spacecraft. Small, fast, and fitted with experimental cloaking systems, it was never meant for public use. It had been designed for stealth exploration in deep space. As he powered it up in the underground launch chamber, alarms remained silent. Mira had cleared the access logs. The ship hovered off the ground, quiet as a shadow. In the cockpit, William took one last look at Earth through the rear camera. I'll be back, he whispered. The launch doors opened. The icy wind howled into the hangar as the Seraph shot upward through the night sky, invisible to radar. Within minutes, he reached orbit. Stars surrounded him like scattered dust on a velvet sheet. Ahead, the red zone loomed, dark, quiet, and heavy with mystery. He activated the FTL drive. The ship surged forward, space bending around it. Light blurred, and then silence. When he dropped out of FTL near the boundary of the red zone, he immediately noticed it, a distortion in space. A shimmering ripple, like heat above pavement, formed a wall ahead. It wasn't natural. The signal source was inside. William steered toward the anomaly. As he passed through the rippling edge, his instruments went haywire for a moment, then stabilized. On the other side, everything felt wrong. The stars were dimmer. The silence was deeper. And then he saw it. Floating just ahead, near a small asteroid, was a metal object. Long, dark, and broken. A probe. Alien in design. He approached slowly. The symbols on its hull didn't match anything from Earth, but they matched the structure of the signal. This was it. He extended the ship's scanner arms and connected with the probe's interface. Surprisingly, it responded. A few lights flickered weakly, and data began to transfer. As he watched the files come through, William realized something terrifying. This probe was a warning, and by activating it, he had sent a signal back to its makers. Far away, in a place Earth had never heard of, someone now knew that the lost planet had awakened. William Carter sat in the dim cockpit of the Seraph, eyes fixed on the ancient alien probe floating in front of him. The craft looked like a broken bone in space, fractured, cold, and silent. Its surface was rough and scarred, as if it had survived an explosion or attack. Strange symbols ran along its sides, partially worn away by time and cosmic radiation. The data stream from the probe was slow but steady. His onboard systems translated what they could, and a simple message appeared on the monitor. Containment breached. Zone compromised. Notify Council Authority. He read it again, then a third time. Council Authority. That name had appeared in the Project Eclipse files. It was no myth. There really was a governing force out there, one powerful enough to seal off an entire star system. And now that force had been notified. William's hands tightened on the controls. He hadn't just found the probe. He had triggered it. He checked the ship's long-range sensors. A sudden energy spike flared across the screen. An automated signal fired into deep space. It was already gone, moving faster than light. Impossible to stop. The probe had done exactly what it was built to do. Alert its creators if anyone disturbed it. William's thoughts raced. There was no way to know how far the signal would travel or how quickly it would be received. Days, hours, minutes? He didn't wait to find out. He finished copying what data he could and pulled the Seraph back from the probe. Its weak lights dimmed once more. Whatever life had existed inside, it was now fading again into silence. As he prepared to jump out of the red zone, he felt a sudden pull, a strange pressure in his chest. It wasn't gravity. It was something else. The ship's artificial intelligence spoke softly. Unidentified energy field detected. Possible spatial interference. The stars around him shifted slightly, as if space itself had twitched. The ripple was faint, but it made his skin crawl. He activated the FTL drive and jumped. The blur of light returned. Then darkness. When William reappeared just beyond the edge of Neptune's orbit, he exhaled slowly. The red zone was behind him, but the message had already gone too far. He plotted a return course to Earth, but paused. If the signal had been received, Earth might already be in danger. The Council, whoever they were, could be watching. Worse, they might act. He couldn't go back. Not yet. Instead, he veered the Seraph toward a neutral location, the Rift. A rogue space station floating in a forgotten corner of the solar system, built by independent miners and engineers who had abandoned Earth's politics. It was off-grid, unregulated, and full of people who didn't ask questions. As he approached the station's perimeter, he sent a docking request using an old access code. The request was approved in seconds. The Rift appeared through the viewport, a jagged cluster of metal modules, solar sails, and cargo pods connected like a floating junkyard. It spun slowly, orbiting a small asteroid. Its lights were dim and flickering. Life clung to it like rust. When the ship docked, William stepped out into the stale, recycled air of the docking bay. A handful of mechanics looked up, but no one spoke. Everyone here had secrets. He made his way to the lower decks where the black market data traders worked. If anyone could help him decipher the rest of the probe's files, it was them. Inside a narrow room filled with screens and humming servers, he met an old contact, Kale, a former satellite engineer turned information broker. Kale squinted at him. William Carter? You're supposed to be dead or buried under government silence. I'm neither, William replied. And I have something important. He plugged the drive into Kale's system and showed him the decoded probe logs. Kale's face shifted from curiosity to fear as the translation scrolled across the screen. This is a council signal, Kale said. You know what that means? You believe in them? Kale snorted. I don't need belief. I've seen what happens when people cross their borders. Ships disappear. Colonies go dark. You found something you weren't supposed to. William nodded. And I triggered it. Kale stood. You need to leave. If that signal got through, they'll come looking. And if they find you, if they find Earth, there won't be a warning. Just a purge. William's heart pounded. I need to warn Earth. Kale shook his head. Too late. They'll already be watching. But maybe we could do something else. He tapped on the screen, pulling up a star map. There's a relay station at the edge of the Kepler drift. It's old but still functional. If you broadcast this signal there, the whole outer fringe will hear it. Other colonies, rogue systems, maybe even council defectors. You want me to make it public? Once it's out, the council won't be able to erase it. The truth will be out. People will have to ask questions. William hesitated. And if that puts Earth in more danger? Kel looked him in the eyes. They're already coming, William. The only question is whether Earth faces it alone, or the galaxy hears its voice first. Far away, in a silver tower on a distant planet called Lysar Prime, a blue-skinned humanoid knelt before a shimmering console. The transmission had arrived. A council enforcer stepped forward, his voice flat and cold. High Chancellor Drax, the signal has been verified. Origin Earth. Vorin Drax stood tall, his silver robes whispering across the floor. His eyes, sharp and calculating, narrowed. Earth, he said softly. After all these centuries, it wakes. He turned to his aides. Prepare the enforcers. Locate the sender. And if necessary. He paused, his voice turning to steel. Silence the planet. The rift's corridors were narrow and dim, lit by flickering panels and neon signs in languages Earth had never spoken. William Carter moved through the station like a shadow, keeping his head down. He felt exposed, even here among outlaws, smugglers, and drifters. Every passing face looked like it could be watching him. He reached a small, hidden chamber near the lower levels, Kale's old workshop, now serving as a temporary safe house. The air smelled of burnt circuits and stale oxygen. Mira appeared on the comm screen, patched in through a secure channel. You're still alive, she said with a half-smile. That's something. Barely, William replied. I found the probe. It sent a signal. The council knows. Myra's smile faded. We've intercepted chatter. Unidentified ships have entered the edge of the solar system. They're not ours. They don't match any known designs. They're council enforcers, William said. They're coming for me, and maybe for Earth. She went quiet, then said, You can't come back. Not yet, but we're working to protect the launch facilities. If they get here, we'll stall them. I won't let it come to that, William promised. I've made contact with a data broker. We're going to broadcast the truth, make it impossible for the council to act in secret. Mira nodded. Then you'd better do it fast. Elsewhere, deep in space, a council strike ship dropped from FDL near Saturn's rings. Its black hull shimmered with stealth tech invisible to most scanners. Inside the command bay, Enforcer Vax studied the incoming data. Target ship identified, he said. Seraph-class prototype. Earth origin. Pilot. William Carter. He turned to the communication unit. High Chancellor Drax, we have a location. Drax's image flickered onto the screen. His voice was calm, but firm. Terminate the pilot. Erase the ship. And if possible, recover the data. Back on the rift, William sat with Kale in the control room. The older man patched into the station's secure feeds, fingers flying across the console. I've boosted the signal strength, Kale said. But the moment we begin broadcasting, they'll know your location. Doesn't matter, William said. The truth needs to get out. Kale looked at him, eyes tired. You're betting your life on a galaxy that might not care. I'm not doing this for them, William replied. I'm doing it for Earth, for the right to be seen. Kale sighed. All right, we'll upload everything to the relay node and bounce it off 6 jump points. Should reach the outer colonies in minutes. Just then, the lights in the room flickered. The security feed showed a sleek, black ship entering the station's outer field. They're here, Kale muttered. Fast response. They didn't come to talk. Explosions shook the lower deck. Alarms wailed. The station's intercom crackled. Emergency lockdown in progress. Hostile boarders detected. William grabbed his satchel and turned to Kale. We have to get out of here. I'll hold them off, Kale said, handing him a small drive. This contains everything. Head to Dock C, Launch Bay 2. I've got a clean ship waiting for you. William hesitated. You'll die if you stay. Kale gave a tired smile. I've lived through 4 wars. If this is how I go, at least it means something. William gripped his arm, then turned and ran. The station descended into chaos. Sirens blared. Fires sparked in the halls. Civilians screamed and fled as armored council enforcers pushed through the decks, weapons raised. They moved with precision, cold, silent, deadly. William sprinted through side corridors, ducking under pipes and crawling through maintenance shafts. His heart pounded, sweat stinging his eyes. Two enforcers spotted him near the reactor junction. They opened fire. Plasma bolts scorched the walls behind him as he dove into a side hatch and slammed it shut. He reached Dock C just as the clean ship, a small, unregistered courier vessel, came online. Its cockpit was open. No time to hesitate. He leapt in, sealed the hatch, and launched. The ship detached from a rift just as another blast tore through the docking bay. Behind him, the station burned. Through the rear camera, William saw Kale's tower collapse in fire and steel. He gritted his teeth, locked the coordinates into the FTL system, and jumped. The stars stretched and bent. Light vanished. Then he reappeared in the black void near the Kepler drift, an abandoned sector full of dead satellites and forgotten stations. One of those stations still worked. It was barely held together, running on emergency power, but its core transmitter still pulsed a heartbeat. William approached and docked. The station groaned under the pressure of the airlock, like a ship about to sink. He hurried to the comms room, connected the drive, and started the upload. The files began to transfer. Probe footage, council messages, Earth's erased history. A digital scream sent into the dark. 10%, 20, 30. Outside, his ship's sensors flared. The council ship had followed him. He knew he didn't have much time, but this was all that mattered. 40%, 50, 60. He stared at the screen, watching the percentages climb. He had to believe the message would reach someone. Somewhere. Behind him, the bulkhead shook. The outer doors had been breached. 70, 80, 90. A voice echoed through the station's comm system. Cold. Familiar. William Carter. Cease transmission. Surrender the data. This is your only chance. He didn't answer. 98, 99, 100. Upload complete. He pressed the final command. The signal bounced across jump relays, carried by light speed streams. There would be no taking it back. William turned to face the door, fists clenched. Let them come. The lights were fading. Sparks flickered from the ceiling, and the metal walls of the old relay station groaned under the pressure of decompression. William Carter backed away from the broadcast terminal, pulse racing. The truth was out now, sent through jump relays to the far corners of the galaxy. The world would know. Earth would no longer be silent. But he wasn't safe. The corridor behind him echoed with metal footsteps, cold, precise. The council enforcers were inside. He could hear the hiss of their powered suits, the faint hum of energy rifles charging. William glanced once at the terminal, then turned and ran. The corridor was narrow and falling apart. Pipes burst from the walls. Lights blinked in and out. He ducked into a side maintenance shaft, crawling through shadows as boots thundered behind him. The station wasn't built for escape. It was never meant to be used again. But William knew he couldn't stay. If he was captured, the council wouldn't just erase him. They'd make sure Earth vanished all over again. He reached the far end of the shaft and kicked open a rusted hatch. The docking bay lay just ahead, where his small courier ship was clamped to the wall. He raced across the open floor, boots clanging against metal. A voice rang out from above. Don't move. He froze. From the shadows stepped a figure he didn't expect to see. Reka Voss, a former Earth intelligence officer turned drifter. She had vanished from the program years ago, presumed dead or defected. Reka, William asked, stunned. You were at the rift. She nodded slowly, lowering her hood. I tracked your ship after you left. You're working with the council? I'm working with whoever survives, she said coldly. The council pays well. They want the drive. You're in the way. William's mind raced. He had trusted her once. She had been part of the early research into alien contact. She had fought to protect knowledge, not bury it. But the years had changed her. There's no point now, he said. The message is already out. Her expression didn't change. They don't care. They want you. And they want to send a message to anyone else who might try the same thing. William slowly reached for the emergency release valve on the landing ramp behind him. Don't, she warned. He didn't stop. His fingers gripped the handle and yanked. A sudden blast of pressure knocked her off balance as the ramp dropped. He dove into the ship and sealed the hatch. Shots rang out, striking the outer shell as he powered up the engines. The ship launched, spinning violently as it left the crumbling relay station. Reika's figure vanished behind the smoke. He didn't look back. The star stretched again as he jumped into FTL, not toward Earth, but toward a deep space node known as Station Iridan, a place where information flowed freely out of reach of the Council's influence. It was a gamble. He had no allies there, no contacts, but it was the only place left where he could hide and maybe find someone who still believed in the truth. When he arrived, the station's automated docking beacon flashed green. He was granted access without a question. No security checks, no voice authentication. He docked and stepped out onto a landing pad lined with scavenge parts and scrap. The place was massive, built around a hollowed asteroid. Civilian freighters drifted past its windows. Strange music echoed through the steel halls. He was alone, but not unseen. A group of aliens, humanoid but with deep violet eyes and silver-gray skin, watched him as he passed. No one spoke. Everyone minded their business. William found an abandoned lounge and locked the door behind him. He set up his comms and checked the signal. It had spread. Small colonies along the fringe were already responding. Encrypted messages poured in. Some were confused, others terrified, but many believed. They spoke of old stories, of a planet erased, of council lies, of vanished systems. The truth was working. It was growing. But the council wasn't giving up. One message stood out, an urgent warning from Mira. Council fleet moving toward Earth. Full force. They're calling it a cleansing mission. You have to stop them. His stomach twisted. He hadn't just exposed the truth. He had provoked a response. The council wasn't coming to talk. They were coming to erase everything. He stared at the screen for a long moment. Then he activated the emergency beacon on his ship, the last resort protocol. It sent a distress signal to anyone who had received the broadcast. A call for help. A single message repeated across dozens of channels. Earth discovered. Earth endangered. The council is coming. Stand with us. He hit send. Now, all he could do was wait. He leaned back in his chair, exhausted. Outside the window, stars burned cold and silent. The galaxy was listening, but was it ready to act? The stars outside Station Iridan burned quietly as William Carter waited for a response. His distress call had been sent across the outer colonies, the rogue sectors, and every station beyond the Council's direct reach. But silence answered back. He sat alone in the dim light of a small communication room carved into the asteroid's inner wall. The old equipment buzzed and clicked, trying to keep up with the thousands of signals flying through the system. But none of them offered help. Myra's last message replayed in his mind. The Council fleet is moving. They're calling it a cleansing mission. Earth has less than 72 hours. He hadn't replied. He couldn't. What would he say? That he had done the right thing, even if it led to Earth's destruction? A chime broke the silence. He looked up. A message blinked on the screen. Not text, video. He tapped it open. A pale-skinned alien with 4 eyes and a lined, wise face appeared. She wore no uniform, only a worn gray robe. Her voice was calm. This is Lavenna of the Adrani. We receive your message. We know what the Council did to your world. You are not the first they try to silence. We are listening. More messages followed. From outposts, resistance cells, even ancient colonies long thought abandoned. Each one added a voice to the rising wave. Some were angry. Some were afraid. But many were ready. William stepped out of the communication room and made his way toward the station's old command deck. His ship was docked and ready. He had no weapons powerful enough to stop a fleet, but he had the truth, and now he had a few allies. He sent a secure reply to Mira. Not alone anymore. Prepare Earth's defense. I'm coming home. Just as he turned to leave, the station shook. Warning lights flashed red. A robotic voice spoke over the intercom. Incoming ship. No identification. High-energy readings detected. His blood ran cold. He rushed to the observation window. A sleek black Council warship shimmered into view, dropping out of FTL right outside the station's shield perimeter. It had no name, no markings, only the silent menace of authority. The enforcers had found him again. The station's operators scattered. Merchants ran. Engines fired as ships undocked and fled. William sprinted to his ship. As he powered it up, a message appeared on his main screen. A face he knew too well filled the display. High Chancellor Vorendrax. Calm, cold, unblinking. Dr. William Carter, Drax said, his voice like steel. Your message was loud and foolish. William stared at him. People know now. You can't erase us again. They will forget, Drax replied, and you will vanish, like the others before you. You're wrong, William said. They're coming. You are alone. The transmission cut. In the distance, the Council ship's weapons charged. William pushed the Seraph to full power. The station shook again as a shockwave from the Council ship tore through the upper modules. Metal screamed. Fires burst from cracked ports. He broke away from the station, spiraling into open space. Alarms rang in the cockpit. Shields held barely. Then, without warning, another ship dropped out of FTL. This one marked with the sigil of the Adrani. More followed. One by one, vessels from different sectors appeared. Traders, militias, forgotten fleets. Some were old and patched together, others sleek and modern. None alone could challenge the Council. But together, they formed a line across the stars. William's screen lit up with messages. We stand with Earth. No more lies. Truth lives. He sent a final message to all ships. The Council's fleet is headed for Earth. We meet them there. And then he jumped. The journey back to Earth felt different this time. Not quiet. Not cold. He wasn't alone in the dark. When he emerged near Earth's orbit, Myra's voice came through the comms, shaken but determined. William, you made it. They're here. Drax's fleet just entered the outer system. Our defenses are online, but we can't hold them for long. Help is coming, he said. Within minutes, the sky lit up. Ships from the edges of known space arrived, forming a barrier around Earth. Small but united. And ready. Drax's fleet advanced, black and silent as always. But this time, the stars didn't stay quiet. Broadcasts echoed across every open channel. Footage of Earth's history, Council cover-ups, lost records, alien voices speaking truths long buried. The Council's lies were no longer hidden. Even some of their own ships hesitated. In a moment that would be remembered for centuries, one of Drax's destroyers powered down its weapons and turned away. Then another. The battle never came. Drax's image returned to William's screen, his face unreadable. You've changed nothing, Drax said. I've changed everything, William replied. Drax said nothing more. His fleet disappeared into the void. On Earth, people looked up at the sky, no longer afraid but awakened. William landed near the original Icelandic base, greeted by Mira and others who had stayed loyal. You did it, she said. No, William answered. We did. Above them, dozens of ships remained in orbit, watching, waiting. Friends now. Witnesses. Earth was no longer hidden. Earth had spoken, and the galaxy had listened. The sky over Iceland was clear. Cold winds swept across the snow-covered plains, carrying the scent of change. From the icy hills, small dots could be seen floating high above the planet. Ships of every shape and size, hovering silently in Earth's orbit. They did not come as conquerors. They came as witnesses. Dr. William Carter stood outside the secret base, now no longer a secret. The underground lab had been exposed in the Council's attempted purge, and its existence had become part of the wider truth. The gates were open now. Reporters, scientists, envoys, and even historians had come to learn what had happened on the planet the galaxy had forgotten. William had barely slept in days. Since the Council fleet had backed off, things had changed rapidly. New messages arrived every hour. Small alien groups made contact. Former colonies requested dialogues. Independent systems reached out to Earth's leaders, offering friendship or at least understanding. And still, High Chancellor Drax had not spoken again. It didn't matter. The Council's grip had cracked. Not broken, not yet, but weakened. The truth had done what armies could not. Mira joined William, by the edge of the base. She wore her winter coat, the wind tugging at her short hair. Delegates from 4 systems arrived this morning, she said. Some of them claimed their own histories were erased by the council. Like ours. William nodded. I believe them. There's talk about forming a new council. One that doesn't hide worlds. One that answers to everyone. That's good. She looked at him. They want you to be part of it. He said nothing for a moment. The snow crunched softly beneath their boots. In the distance, children played near the landing pads, laughing as they chased each other between the massive shadows of orbiting vessels. Earth was no longer silent. It was no longer hidden, but it was still home. I'm not a politician, William said. I just wanted the truth out there. You got more than that. He turned to her. Do you ever think we were meant to stay quiet? That maybe they sealed Earth off because they were afraid of what we could become? Maybe, she said, but that was their mistake, not ours. They stood in silence for a moment. Overhead, one of the Adrani vessels slowly descended, gliding on its anti-gravity thrusters toward a landing site nearby. Its hull gleamed in the pale sun. Lavenna, the Adrani elder who had sent the first message of support, had requested to meet in person. Mira checked her wristpad. You're expected inside in 10 minutes. William sighed. You go. I've been talking too much lately. You're the reason they're here. I was just the one who listened. She smiled. I'll tell them you said that. As she walked away, William looked up. The sky had always held questions. Now it held voices. There were still dangers out there. The council might not give up. Other powers could rise, some friendlier than others. But the silence was broken. He reached into his coat and pulled out the small drive that had started it all. It was worn now, edges chipped, surface scratched. But inside it was the signal. The old, alien message that had pierced the void and woken Earth from its long isolation. He placed the drive inside a protective case and walked toward the entrance of the base. Just inside the main corridor, a new wing had been built, a public archive. Transparent walls displayed relics from Earth's secret history, alongside alien objects, star maps, and transmission logs. He placed the drive in the display marked First Contact, the uncovering of Earth. A young girl with curious eyes approached the glass. Is that what started everything? William smiled gently. Yes, that's where it began. She nodded. Do you think we'll go out there? To the other planets? I think you'll go further than I ever did, he said. And he meant it. Later that night, alone again in his quarters, William sat by the window. His eyes searched the stars, no longer unreachable, no longer silent. He thought of Kale, lost on the rift. He thought of the probe, still floating beyond the red zone. And he thought of all the voices he had heard since, some hopeful, some fearful, all part of something larger than Earth had ever known. He whispered into the dark, not to be heard, but to remember, we were never alone. And now, the galaxy knew it.